Americans know that our team loves nothing more than getting off this set and out into the wild to find and tell powerful stories. You'd be amazed at what you can learn when you get out of New York and put boots on the ground, whether it be in Silicon Valley, the middle of the Gulf of Mexico, or the heartland. The goal is to celebrate American innovation. Tonight, we look back on a very special trip we took to bluegrass country, an inspiring way to invest in America. For years, America's small towns have watched manufacturing and innovation depart. Now, though, Apple and CEO Tim Cook are committing big money to bring them back. And there's no better place to start our program today on Main Street itself. Here it is. Well, Tim, we're in downtown Harrodsburg. You talked about the ripple effect. Is this it?
This is it. It really makes my heart sing to see a town that is doing so well, that's thriving off of Corning, and our relationship with Corning is at the root of that. And so it feels fantastic.
Now, there are other towns, of course, that didn't get blessed by two companies that care as much as you and Corning do. The atmosphere is very different, isn't it?
Well, we can't be everywhere. I wish we could. But we are putting $600 billion to work in the next 4 years. And so it is an extraordinary commitment. And there's 79 factories across the U.S. that will benefit from this.
But don't you think you'd have to put up 10 times that if you're just to be able to say, I mean, look, you got to put the money to work. You promised the president you're going to put it to work.
Yes, we are putting it to work. And
but $2.5 billion is a drop in the bucket of what you have to do.
2.5 is just one of those 79.
Okay.
And so one of the 79. And so it's a great start and a very important one, because the glass is something you interface with all the time, right, on your phone. And we couldn't be prouder of the relationship that we built up over what is now since the first iPhone in 2007.
Now, when we speak about the ripple effect, it's not just what it does with towns. I imagine that there will be companies, foreign companies, that will say, okay, I now have to put a factory there because Apple's there and they're building a supply chain and I can be part of it.
That's right. That's the ripple effect. If we come, there will be more companies coming. It's a domino effect kind of thing.
It's better than anything the government can do, isn't it? I mean,
I think with the
enterprise versus government.
I think the government has a role in terms of the regulation kind of role, and setting the leadership, which the president has clearly done. He's really stated his objective to get more and more manufacturing into the United States. And so I think there's a role for each party.
I wanted to just say that the one thing that seems to be left out, the president wants to be able to have everything built here, but you have to have great education. A town like this is going to have to up its game, but you're not responsible for that.
Well, what we can do is bring the Manufacturing Academy in Detroit to small and medium-sized businesses. Corning obviously has enough stature to train their own employees. But we can help that significantly with small and medium business. And we can help with community colleges and these sort of things in getting some of our curriculum out into those schools. And so we do have a role. Okay. We do run a university as well, but we do that for internal to Apple only.
Tim, you talk to shareholders all the time, part of your job. Do any of them say, you know what, look, $500 billion, I mean, I wish you would just buy back stock with the $500 billion. Why are you wasting shareholder money?
You know, I think most of our shareholders believe that we're in the best position to make these type of decisions. And so I have to honestly say, I haven't gotten a single complaint about the $600 billion.
When it went from 500 to 600?
Not one. I have not seen one.
Not one?
Not one.
That's kind of remarkable.
Yes, it is.
I would think there are people who could be enraged and say, you know what? I think he's just doing it so he can sell in China or to appease the president.
I'm sure there's somebody out there like that, but they haven't contacted me.
I'm astonished.
Yes.
I really am. I mean, maybe I'm too cynical on Wall Street. I figured that there would be some people who would say, listen, you could give us a better dividend. Instead, you're helping Harrisburg.
Yeah, I think most people look at it and say, it's great that you're investing in America. And so I think they look at it through that lens and depend on us making decisions in their best interest for the shareholders.
Now, are you in contact with people in China who say, look, we want those jobs too. What do we have to do? Or has things gotten so adversarial, China, India, that the discussions can't occur anymore?
No, we have good relationships in both of those countries and have a very open line of communication and also bring jobs to those countries.
See, as I think there's a lot of people who think that we're in some sort of vicious Cold War. I know that there are obviously issues because we do have, you have Taiwan, it has to be protected. You have a government that at times has been jingoistic there, and we got a jingoistic here. But you're able to navigate that kind of thing.
I think, my view has always been is that engagement is so important. In all of these countries around the world and with all the governments of the world. And so that's what we try to do is bring the best of ourselves to those countries. And I have to say, I have great relationships in many countries around the world and want to keep that up. I think it's important.
In your interactions with the president, you apprise him of these kinds of events and what's going on?
Oh, of course. We had the event in the Oval just a few weeks ago, right? And so he's well versed on what's going on in Harrisburg.
And that must mean to some degree that I know that it's no quid pro quo with the president. It's not like, listen, I'll take the 25% tariff off. But obviously, the more you do here, the less likely there will be a 15% take of what he's doing, of what you're doing in China.
I think it'll be heavily considered.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you're doing what he wants, but I think that
we're doing what he wants, which is to bring more manufacturing into the U.S. and more investment.
But is it metaphorical to say that I want the iPhone built here? Meaning, in other words, if you spend $100 billion here versus making it here and you'd only make $20 billion. I mean, obviously, the commitment is huge enough.
The commitment is huge. And it will definitely be felt in many communities across the country.
Who's monitoring it internally for you? Kevin, the CFO?
Of course, Kevin is all over it, and I'm personally monitoring it to make sure that we're living up to our commitments.
Are there towns that don't know it yet that are about to be blessed with a lot of business?
There are, of course, because these things take some amount of time and so there will be some surprises in there, I would think.
Now, why was in 2017, it was $1 billion commitment, and a lot of people were shocked at $1 billion. I mean, $600 billion is a lot more than you announced when you announced the plan on our show in May of 2017. I mean, it's quantum.
It's quantum. It's quantum, and we're so proud of it. We're proud to be making a difference in people's lives.
Tonight, we're looking back at my incredible journey to Harrodsburg, Kentucky, to see how Corning and Apple are teaming up to bring high-quality manufacturing back to small-town America. I sat down with Apple CEO Tim Cook and Corning CEO Wendell Weeks to hear some of their plans. Check it out. Well, Tim and Wendell, this is just an incredible place, and I want to start with Wendell, our host, to say, what the heck are we doing in Harrodsburg, Kentucky?
Well, you gotta love a great manufacturing plant. But the news today really is about Apple. What we're doing here is we're dedicating 100% of this facility to Apple to produce 100% of the cover glass for all the iPhones and all the iWatches made in the world will now be made in Harrodsburg, Kentucky.
Well, it's kind of amazing because I think people might have thought at one time or another, you can't make this stuff in America. This is the kind of thing that I think we got away from. Tim, didn't people just say, you know what, let's just outsource this to some place that costs a lot less and it'll all be the same quality anyway?
You know, what we do is we look at a lot of things when we decide who to work with. And one of the most important ones is innovation. Corning brings so much innovation to the table. The phone that you're holding obviously is so thin and so light but we want it to be the most durable phone ever. And so the ceramic shield that Wendell really brings to the table here with our help allows that. It's one of the enablers of that. And so we look at a lot of things when we decide who to partner with.
All right, now partnering with, I mean, you're talking about putting a $2.5 billion commitment.
Yeah.
What are these the kind of things, Tim, where we have no idea right now in our brains, we can't comprehend what could come from here, but because of the ingenuity of this place and your innovation center, we're going to see things that we just can't even dream of right now.
Oh, that's absolutely true. I mean, we have our engineering teams work together, and they're already working on future generations. But today, we're talking about the ceramic shield too, and we couldn't be prouder of the accomplishment from the teams.
Well, we thought Gorilla Glass was the most powerful, strongest thing in the world. Tell us, Wendell, why we want this. Because it's, first of all, I mean, I can tell you it's light. That doesn't take a genius. But there's something about this that is, I guess you could say, almost indestructible.
Yes. Well, it's about 50% stronger than the first ceramic shield. And then Apple wanted that so that they could do this creative and stunning design. Because when you're trying to make something that basically is a glass shell and at the same time super light, but people's use case is the same, they came to us to ask us for something more durable.
So how will it allow you to expand? I mean, more people, more space? Are we going to think of this as the capital of glass in the world? Maybe we should have been already.
No, this is going to become the world-leading manufacturing site for production of highly specialized glass. We're going to triple production. We're going to increase our workforce by 50%. But back to the innovation point Tim makes, is we're going to put in 3 new generations of manufacturing processes that are now on the drawing board between us that will enable this to create products that are 100 times, 200 times, even more durable as we go into the future and be cost competitive. That is the joint innovation between us. We'll be able to have a series of products coming from here for decades because of Apple's investment.
Well, let's talk about the supply chain issue. We often hear, well, the president is saying, listen, one day I want the iPhone to be made here, not anywhere else. I think, don't you have to start piece by piece? You need to, let's say, you need glass end to end, and you're doing that here.
Yeah, that's right. The glass is a very key component of the iPhone. You know, it's what you hold. It's what the front has become, is a sheet of glass. It was our vision from the onset to get it to that. And so it's a key component. And of course, there are other key components as well. The system on a chip that's in there. We are beginning the process this year of building system on a chips in Arizona with TSMC. And so there's a lot of things that we're doing in the United States and a lot that we can do, frankly.
Now, my Charitable Trust has a position in Apple. It's long-standing. I know I always expect Apple to be doing the best for customers, best for shareholders.
Right.
Is it right to put $2.5 billion here? Is this the best place, or is there also another component that you have to do, which is you have to say, we also want to help the workforce?
This is the place to put it. And so I feel very confident in that, because when you look at innovation, when you look at the cost, when you look at the quality, these are all things that are factor into our decisions. This is a great place.
Is it not true that there will be people who try to replicate this, but because of the standards of Corning, which we all know for going back decades and decades, they can't do it? They may even have the specs, and they can't imitate it. Why?
Well, you have two, and when it comes to Apple products, there's 2 things that are super hard to replicate. First is our expertise that we bring from 175 years of this being our slice of the periodic table. But then on top of that, we work with Apple. We've been doing almost 2 decades in joint teams where Apple people are here all the time. They're in our labs all the time. And everything we do for Apple is 100% only for Apple. And so this becomes integrated right from the sand to the design. And this type of high integration makes it almost impossible to replicate.
But you also work with Samsung. They're a valued client. How about if they say, you know what? We want some of that technology, the Apple 2.5 billion technology. What happens? I mean, I know you couldn't be happy if that occurs.
So we say no. And what we say to Samsung is, if you want to work with us to innovate and you're going to develop a new-to-the-world material, we'll be happy to work with you on that. But Apple's materials are Apple's materials.
Okay. Now, when you say that everything's going to be made here, was it? I think people would say, oh, come on, it was always made there anyway. That's not true. You are moving and bringing jobs here that used to be elsewhere because you want to make it in America and make it strong.
That's absolutely right. We were building some volume here, but not nearly the volume needed to serve the worldwide community for iPhone and Apple Watch. And so there's an extraordinary amount of increased volume moving here.
Now, I haven't talked enough about the watch. I mean, look, the watch always, my biggest worry is it is so out there that I am going to scratch it. I've had every generation that hasn't occurred. Is that him?
Yes, that's him.
Well, I don't know how you do it, but it also, I have to believe, with $2.5 billion, you'll be doing things that we haven't dreamed of. But they're in your head. They're in your engineer's head. Just give us a little picture give us some 2030.
So, first rule of dealing with Apple, it's a little like Fight Club. First rule of Fight Club is, you don't talk about Fight Club.
I am surprised.
Second rule of Fight Club is, you don't talk about Fight Club. So we're not going to talk about the next generation of products we're doing for my friend here.
Thank you.
That is absolutely fair. I sometimes feel that when you made your commitment to $600 billion, that it seems like that you could replicate what you're doing with glass in a lot of different verticals. You're doing it with semiconductors. I don't think people even know that you're doing it.
Yeah, I think it will be understood over time. But what we're doing in semiconductors is we've taken a look at the entire supply chain. And so starting with the wafer, or actually pre-wafer, because Wendell is involved in this as well.
Pre-wafer these are made of sand.
This is actually made of polysilicon.
Okay.
One of the purest materials in the world, of which we actually source to Apple's supply chain.
And then it goes to Global Wafers, a company that's in Texas, and they will serve companies like TSMC, which will provide the fab for the product, for the chips, and then Amcor, another company that's located in Arizona, will do packaging. And of course, Applied Materials is very key to the semiconductor equipment. And so we're looking at the end-to-end, bringing that to America.
Now, we know that there is a component of glass that you use for your beautiful Macs. When can that be made here? Or is that just something that I mean, they're the best glass makers in the world. Why? I know they make a lot of plants overseas. Or is it just not convenient or simple to have the glass made here?
Well, today we're focusing on iPhone and Apple Watch, which has substantial volume.
Okay. I do... got to get rid of my picture. Can't bear it.
And part of it's us. We're moving so much production here that we're starting with the highest priority and the most innovative product sets.
Okay.
That's we're starting here because of that.
It can go. It can go. We'll be back in a moment for what I think is a pretty amazing discussion. Welcome back to Mad Money, where we're celebrating American innovation tonight by highlighting the partnership between Corning and Apple to make all iPhone and Apple Watch glass right here in the USA. Here's some more of my conversation with the company CEO, Wendell Weeks, and Tim Cook. Gentlemen, got some good news from the FDA. Our Apple Watches will be the way we can measure hypertension, the leading killer of people in the world. Now, I don't know, Wendell, I know that's your glass. That's my wife. That's your glass. But you've got to be proud of what you guys have created with the Apple Watch.
We're so excited about being able to participate in something that is actually going to help people's health as well.
Well, that has been your mission.
That's absolutely right. We think we're going to notify 1 million people in the first year alone that they have hypertension. and to get them to reach out to their doctors to come up with a regimen.
Do people do it? Do people use a lot of the different healthcare things you've got involved with this right now?
It's unbelievable, Jim. I get notes every day from people who maybe they fell and was incapacitated, and the watch called out emergency services for them. Maybe they were in a crash and the same thing transpired. Maybe they have AFib and didn't know it. And the doctor told them that they would have died if not having reached out. And so all the time, I'm getting notes.
Well, let me just go back to Harrodsburg and just touch on kind of like the our town perception here. There are a lot of towns that had factories in them. We all know them. Some of us grew up in them. And then the factories left because there was a bargain. We had cheap goods, but they got the jobs. China got the jobs. Why did Corning stay?
So we view it as our responsibility as an American company and as management that when we dedicate a plant in a community, that we view that as a social contract. Like, for instance, we opened this plant in 1952, actually to do some Cold War products. But then we shifted it to ophthalmic, a new invention from ourselves to do photochromics. But then that product had its inevitable maturity and cycle. So then we brought another of our inventions here, LCD. And then when Steve came to us and Apple came to us for the very first Gorilla Glass, we brought that innovation here. So for us, what we have to be able to do is view communities and our people as we'll do whatever products here that we innovate and we're committed to it. So that's why when you walk around the factory, you'll meet people who they're third generation Corning employees in this factory. But what the people today are doing has nothing to do with what their grandfather did.
All right. Now, in 2017, we got together. You had just come up with $1 billion American manufacturing plan, of which you folks were involved. Now it's $600 billion.
Yes.
That, of course, the interstate highway system costs $600 billion in real dollars. I mean, these days dollars. You're making a commitment to America. I don't know, Tim, how you can put it all to work. How many Wendell Weeks are there? How many Cornings are there?
Well, we do business with about 9,000 different partners across the U.S. To different, small, medium, and large kind of companies. We're in all 50 states with these suppliers, and there's 450,000 jobs collectively across that footprint. And we are very proud to be expanding that further this year to the $600 billion level. And I do think that over the next 4 years, which is the time period that we're talking about, we'll be able to put that to work.
Well, that would be monumental, though. It was hard for the U.S. government to put $50 billion to work in the CHIPS Act. They really didn't have it together to do it. Why will Apple be able to do it?
Well, I think there's a couple things. One is we have a global footprint. And so when you're able to divert production from other places to make production for the global environment, all of a sudden it goes up exponentially, because the U.S. is about a third of our demand, give or take.
Okay.
And so you can add a lot by making it global. And then stitching together the end-to-end supply chain in semiconductors, I can't stress how important this is and how much that will add to what we're doing.
And so, Tim, you grew up in Mobile, Alabama, small town. They had you made literal ships, literal, the LITTORL, a kind for the Navy, but you had a big international paper plant. There was a giant employer there. That goes away. That went away. What do you do? What was the compact, the social compact with the people who worked there?
Yeah, I do come from a very small town called Robertsdale. It's a few thousand people. They're great, salt-of-the-earth people. I come from a blue-collar family. My dad was in the shipbuilding business. And it's still around. It needs to be revitalized, right. and hopefully that is happening. But I've seen the communities when things go away, and it's so important that there be a hub of economic activity in different places. Because if we take this plant as an example, this plant creates so many jobs out in the community as well, because you have more restaurants, more stores, more groceries, all the things that people buy that work here. And so it's a virtuous cycle to create a hub of activity. And we're doing that across America in 79 different factories now.
And are you putting them like Nucor does? They look and see where the workforce had been left behind that was qualified by other companies that just went away. Are you right now planning on things in cities that we don't know about that are going to be helped by Apple the way we've never seen a city be helped?
There will definitely be different places that have those characteristics, yes.
Well, that'll be magic.
Yes.
That'll be magic.
Yes.
Well, look, I want to thank you, Wendell Weeks, you're the CEO of Corning. Thank you for this, by the way. And Jim Cook.
Made right here in Harrisburg, Kentucky, Jim.
Well, a lot of great things are made here. Thank you, gentlemen. While we've been diving into Apple's investment in Corning tonight, that is just a small part of the company's recent $600 billion commitment to manufacturing in the United States. When I spoke to CEO Tim Cook, it was clear he intends to launch similar projects across the country. Take a look. Did you ever think, Tim, that the role of a CEO would be a global ambassador and also someone who has to try to make peace with India, with China, with the White House? This isn't what you got in this business for.
You know, it's an incredible job, and it's a privilege of a lifetime to have it. The people that I get to work with are just unbelievable. We trust each other, we collaborate with each other, and I can't imagine life without it.
Well, a lot of people, I think, would say, when you hear something like, and we heard this in Truth Social, I have long informed Tim Cook of Apple that I expect the iPhone will be sold in the United States, will be manufactured and built in the U.S., not India. Now, that's the kind of thing where you read it in Truth Social and you say, geez, maybe I ought to reconfigure things, right?
Yeah, definitely a motivator. Definitely a motivator. And so what we were doing, Jim, since we announced a $500 billion commitment toward the beginning of the year, we were continually working to come up with more ways to bring manufacturing into the United States. It's not really bringing it back because that manufacturing was not here to begin with, right? And we came up with several things that we could do and do more of. One was the glass that you saw today, and we're thrilled with how this project is going. Another is stitching together the end-to-end silicon supply chain. I'm really pleased with how that's going. And yet another one that's a little different than both of those is a deal that we did with MP Materials to do rare earth magnets in the United States. And so a lot of advanced manufacturing can be done in this country and be done competitively in this country.
Now, so a shareholder should feel that even though these international markets are so huge, it's okay to make these things here and okay to commit $600 billion. It was a big deal to commit $1 billion in 2017 when we first talked. $600 billion, that's a huge chunk of a country.
It is a huge one, but we're an American company, and we're a proud American company, and we want to do as much in the United States as we can, not only for product that we sell in this country, but for product that we sell around the world. And so, we do have a global footprint and sell quite a bit of product outside the United States.
Well, is the administration keeping track of how much you're spending?
We're in constant communication. We have a very good relationship. It's very positive. And to their credit, they are focused on regulation and trying to decrease the amount of regulation that it requires to build a new factory, to build a new data center, et cetera.
do the tariffs work in the sense that they are bringing companies back and they gave us a level playing field, which I think you and I would always think if U.S. had a level playing field, we would win.
I think they're a motivating factor for many businesses. And I hope that there are other factors as well. Like, for example, in this factory, what you get a sense of here is it's not just one thing, it's innovation plus cost competitiveness plus quality. It's the sum of all of these things coming together.
Now, when I look at what you're doing right now, I think that each one of these phones have more AI, but you don't talk about it enough. I don't find out until I own the phone the AI that you have. There was someone who downgraded your stock the other day who said there isn't enough AI in it, but they don't even have it yet.
Yeah, I can tell you that it's all over the applications, it's all over things that you use and where you are, from notes to messages to mail, all the things that you normally use.
Well, I think that I do want to try to figure out what can't be done here. We're not making liquid crystal display, even though Corning does that. I'm not seeing that made here. There are certain parts of this that involve the camera. I'm not seeing that made here. Do you think, the president who says he wants everything made here, is he keeping score and saying, yeah, sure, they got the glass, they got some of the semi, but I want the camera made here. Is that realistic?
There's 19 billion chips made in America already, and we're scaling that further. And so there's significant semiconductor presence in the United States. We have relationships with many of the people that you report on. And so that feels like we've planted seeds and it's growing and doing well. We're also, as you know, continuing to ramp with TSMC in Arizona.
Right.
And this is a very key project.
Now, what we're seeing here, can it be replicated? And I say that we see these gentlemen who've been working here for years, and we think that we see this plan. It's been so many iterations. Is this something that one of Apple's legacies? I know you want healthcare as your legacy. Should it be that you can bring back? I know some places have never even had, but that you can change the landscape of our nation with $600 billion.
With $600 billion, we hope to do exactly that. And so when you think about, we do business with 79 factories across the United States today. Each of these, there's a story behind. There's a story of a community. There's a story of multi-generational workers. There's a story of earning enough to earn a good living. Not just having a job, but earning a good living. And we're very proud to be a part of that.
You should be. I would think, though, that we may not have the education system to do that. Can some of that money be used for education? You could endow, better endowment than Harvard, University of Texas, whatever. I have to believe that you're going to have to do that, too.
It's part of what's behind the thinking behind the manufacturing academy that we put in Detroit, because we want to train small and medium businesses to be in the manufacturing business in America.
What's your message to the administration about how urgent what you're doing is and whether the urgency is felt throughout all of business? Because obviously you're well ahead of everyone else in this country.
Well, we feel good about where we are, and we feel that we can be the ripple in the pond. And so stitching together the semiconductor supply chain will not only help Apple, it will help other companies do more in the United States. And so the bringing rare earth magnets into the United States, that will also help other companies as well. So I hope to be a ripple in the pond here.
And what's your message to young people who feel that AI is going to take their job, that the opportunities for them are not nearly as good as their parents or their grandparents? What do you say to them, Tim?
I think there's always been these moments over time where fear crept into our psyche. We feared the spreadsheet. Some accountants and different analysts feared the spreadsheet. but there's probably more of those today that exist than were there before that. We feared the word processor. I'm not saying AI is like the spreadsheet and the word processor. It's much more profound than that. But I think that there will be great opportunities for young people. My advice is to follow your passion and find something that helps other people. And if you can find the intersection of those two things, following your passion that helps other people, you can earn a great living.
Well, let's leave it right there. Thank you to Tim Cook. Thank you for all your time, Tim. Thank you. Appreciate it. Welcome back to our special encore of Invest in America, Harrodsburg, Kentucky edition. Corning is the sole manufacturer of glass for Apple's iPhones and watches, and that's a big deal. But when I met with Corning CEO Wendell Weeks at his plant in Harrodsburg, Kentucky, he explained his company has so much more to offer in terms of American innovation. Check it out. Wendell, we've been talking about glass, and glass is fabulous, and what you do with Apple is amazing. I have been following other aspects to your business. For instance, what you're doing with the data center, not only is it unrecognized, but it may be the fastest growing component of a data center.
Well, it certainly is our fastest growing business right now.
Now, tell me about how much glass is in a data center and how much could be if the new chips of Jensen Huang's NVIDIA decide to embrace glass, because right now there's a lot of copper. That burns bad.
So almost all of our growth today is built on what's called the scale out of the network. And what scale out is doing is it's just connecting more and more AI clusters together. What you're referring to is something called scale up. And what that is within an AI node, connecting more and more of the GPUs within that node across server racks. Once you do that, the distance can climb enough that it's more techno-economical to use optical fiber than copper.
I know that could be a couple years from now, but I think it's important to recognize how the current scale is making a lot of money. And just so before we get to some other enterprises, why don't you tell people how much glass, how many miles of glass there is in a data center?
Well, let me give you a great example. Meta's big Louisiana campus that he has posted on X about and the like. So that data center, and it's a big one.
Yeah.
Like if they were to overlay it on Manhattan, it would be like from 2nd up to 86th or 87th, right? And probably from about 2nd to 8th Avenue. So it's large. But what's even more stunning is how much fiber's in there. That's going to need 8 million miles of fiber. So that's enough fiber to go around the equator of the Earth 320 times. That's enough fiber to directly connect every home, every single family home in the whole state of New York and light it up with fiber.
That is unbelievable.
And that's one campus.
5 billion homes. I have to believe that people are not as familiar with that operation yet, because I think people don't understand that even just to connect those different nodes is a huge business. People, look, I want copper out because copper burns. It causes pollution because it burns hot. But give me a sense of what could happen in order to be able to make it so maybe we could use less energy if it were all glass in there.
Well, what the concept is to be able to bring glass to the backplane of the server is that it will be more power efficient. It would make more efficient use of the wafers, which is where a big hunk of the cost is, right? And that in total, once you have to travel a little more distance, it'll lead to lower cost. So that is the promise of this. Of course, there's a lot of innovation to be done to make that happen.
But won't Corning be the one that does the innovation?
We're working hard on it, Jim. It's such a huge opportunity for us. If you take our entire enterprise business today, which is all aimed at scale out, scale up would be 2 to 3 times that size.
Now, people should recognize that you have been growing at a pace that far exceeded what we thought. Now, some of that is because of things that you have done, like the Springboard plan. But some of it is just because the business is just moving faster than everybody thought.
Without question, we have a combination of both trends they're all secular trends that are technologies that we're behind. We're right on top of. We created it. We invented it.
Tick them down because people don't.
You
are
just
worried
did
about
one,
cyclical,
which is
right?
AI. And you have both inside the data center, but also you have to connect those data centers together. So it's really leading to a rebuild of the whole long-haul network.
That's
in fiber
business,
optics. That's
which
in carrier.
Was the major business for a very long time.
Yes, and now it's growing again.
I can't believe it.
Then you go over to what we've been spending our day on today, all mobile consumer electronics. As you get more Corning in all of the mobile consumer electronics that you're using today. More and more of our innovations are being adopted at higher and higher value, and you heard a lot about that from Tim today. And then we have businesses that are all entirely new that we're putting on. For instance, our new solar business, which is we're going to do really the largest American-made ingot and wafer plant right in Michigan. And that's going to about triple our run rate in what today would be about a $200 million or so a quarter run rate in Hemlock and Solar. We're going to triple that rate by as early as the end of next year.
Now, is solar now one of the cheapest ways of energy to get energy?
Yes. I mean, energy is one of those things, all energy. It's all what government policy is one way or the other, and then it's what you count. But solar for sure is an important part of the overall matrix that you need.
Now, I thought that you guys would be hurt and your stock got hurt by tariffs. But the stock got hurt, but not really your business. It really didn't impact you.
No, tariffs really have de minimis impact on us. And that's because of our philosophy. You got a sense of that today in the factory. We locate close to our customers because the primary way that we win is with innovation. So as a result, let's take the US for example, 90% of our US revenue is created by US origin products. Only 1% of what we sell in the United States, we make in China. So tariffs, because of our fundamental philosophy and our values, tend not to have a significant impact on us.
Let me tell you, finding ways to invest in America has been my mission for 20 years and counting. That trip to Kentucky and celebrating the work being done there was the honor of a lifetime. I like to say, there's always a bull market somewhere, and I promise to try to find it just for you right here on Mad Money. I'm Jim Cramer. See you next time.
All opinions expressed by Jim Cramer on this podcast are solely Cramer's opinions and do not reflect the opinions of CNBC or its parent company or affiliates and may have been previously disseminated by Cramer on television, radio, internet, or another medium. You should not treat any opinion expressed by Cramer as a specific inducement to make a particular investment or follow a particular strategy, but only as an expression of his opinion. Cramer's opinions are based upon information he considers reliable, but neither CNBC nor its affiliates and or subsidiaries warrant its completeness or accuracy, and it should not be relied upon as such. To view the full Mad Money disclaimer, please visit cnbc.com/Mad Money disclaimer.